Hi, welcome to this reading for the Taurus lunar full moon eclipse. I have my Moonology deck here, and I'm just gonna draw a card before I start to channel a little bit more information about this. Every time I go to do these messages, I always think I'll have like a really great understanding and setup, and like have time, and that I'll take time to get myself ready, but it always just comes through whenever the messages are ready. And it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. It just has to be authentic. And that right there is the lesson that I think we're all coming across right now. Let's pull a card here. Emotions are running high, supermoon, and a fiery climax approaches. This one is the full moon in Aries. Oh, and then we have new moon in Libra, a new romantic cycle begins. So all of these cards just happen to be talking about, the moons that have led up to this one, because here we are at the end of this eclipse season, at the end and beginning, of a new era. And we have been going through these really intense transformational portals. We had the full moon in Aries, and then new moon in Libra, which was the other eclipse that caused us to go within. And throughout time, eclipses have been looked at as times of epic evolutionary change. If you think about civilizations that used to, read the sky, when you see something like an eclipse, it looks really daunting. What I find interesting about the eclipses is that it feels like it gives the moon, our subconscious emotions, our feelings, the underworld, a chance to come to the surface and be seen as we see the light, as we see our ego, as we see the sun on a daily basis. And so with these eclipses, we are being called for that change. That change is now. The time for the change is now. Everything that has been underneath the surface is coming up to be healed, to be understood, to be released. When we talk about where we are in these eclipses, what it all has to do with is where the north and south node of the moon are. Because the north and south node, the north is the head of the dragon, Rahu, and the south node is the tail of the dragon, Ketu. And this is our evolutionary journey. This is our journey as a soul. This is how we grow, how we learn, and how we evolve, and how we can make the choices to do things differently rather than continuously repeating old cycles and patterns. And during these times, the old cycles will come up, and we need to choose differently. And when we choose differently, we become energetically accountable for ourselves to the universe, and then the universe responds. And that's what the quantum leap is, because it really just is energy matching energy. And I know that it sounds like pretty just simple and kind of like nebulous and ununderstandable when you just kind of say like, well, you create it, man, you understand it, like whatever you believe, it's your reality. But like when you actually look at the dynamics and the scientifics of this all, it is that what we perceive is what we create. And so much of what we've been taught to perceive has been these experiences that are really traumatic, that we don't want to repeat. But unless we consciously choose differently, we will repeat them. And that's what these eclipse seasons bring up within us. Now, I want to talk a little bit about where we've been since the spring, since the Aries new moon eclipse that we had back in April. This started the eclipses before we're getting into the Aries and Libra nodes. That axis of the North Node in Aries, the South Node in Libra. So back in the spring, we had an eclipse in Aries and an eclipse in Scorpio. Very heavily Mars influenced, our masculine energy coming up to the surface. What is driving us? And what parts of our ego are holding us back, telling us we can't do things and we can't have things certain ways? What parts of us are stubbornly holding on to the past and to the way we believe things should be, rather than going with the flow of the universe of what is obviously being presented to us? So when we have experiences that are uncomfortable, they're bringing up something that we need to look at. But we do not need to keep repeating those experiences and choosing the same things over and over again. It's brought up as contrast of, well, now I know I don't want this, and I must have been holding on to this in some way as a belief for myself, and now I'm seeing that I don't want to hold on to this anymore. Okay, so then we go through the summer, and the summer is when the nodal axis changed, and we went into the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. And then we had this whole Venus retrograde cycle throughout the summer, and a lot of the energies throughout the summer have been reevaluating what we place worth on and how we value ourselves. All of this coming to the closing end of this North Node in Taurus journey that we've been on for the past 2 years. And now we are in the North Node in Aries. But right now, finishing up this eclipse season, this Taurus full moon, this is the culmination of all the work that we've been doing for the past 2 years. I mean, everything is, we've been working on this for a whole lot longer. We're talking about, 24,000 year cycle. But what I'm talking about is, the past 2 years, when we had this North Node in Taurus, it made us reevaluate everything and release so much shadow. And now it's coming into the fact that we need to understand who we are. We need to place authenticity so high on our priority list, because that is what energetically will come back to us. And I think that we all are craving authenticity within ourselves as well as with one another. And that's what this whole Aries Libra axis is bringing in. So this eclipse season has been very heavily focused on relationships. The eclipse season in the spring was more like I am. And now it's saying, we are, what are we? What are we based on what I am and how I view myself? And where am I allowing myself to give energy somewhere that it's not being reciprocated equally? And really, Scorpio season has begun, and it's you can't unsee it and you can't hold back. And if it's energetically not giving to you, you can't give to it anymore, because it's going to drain you. It's going to make you sick. That's what's happening. We literally cannot be inauthentic anymore without feeling those repercussions of it so strongly, because, time is moving like that. What you think, what you feel, what you project, it comes right back now. We are in the Age of Aquarius. Right now, let's talk a little bit about how this full moon is a really significant marker in bringing us into the Age of Aquarius. So over the past couple years, with the North Node in Taurus, the planet Uranus has also been going through retrogrades in Taurus and going back and forth and going through all of this drastic restructuring of how we create on this physical plane and what we place value in. Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. Aquarius, people get a little confused about like double planet rulerships, and it's just because before the outer planets were discovered, the signs still existed and they just had co-rulerships. So originally Aquarius was the other side of Saturn, actually. So with Capricorn being much more structured, Aquarius being much more innovative in the creation, in the building and connecting. But then the planet Uranus, when it was discovered, became the ruler of Aquarius. And the planet Uranus is all about bringing in new thought forms, We had to discover it. We had to find when we could reach out, when we could see in a telescope further into space. The Age of Aquarius is all about the technology and the creation and the innovation. Look at what has happened over the past 20 years. Look at where technology has gone and the way that we can connect across the world with one another. Look at YouTube and what video and creation and connectivity has brought us in the terms of expansion of our mind. But equally, there is the shadow side of it where all of what has not been dealt with still brings about creation on these widespread levels. So this is why when we enter in more fully into the Age of Aquarius, we need to be energetically accountable for what we create, for what we put out there. And that's why we're going through these intense changes of these eclipses. We have really been put through the ringer. I mean, the state of the world right now. I was looking at what the eclipse season would bring up, and I'm hearing all this stuff, and people have said things like that, but you always hope that it's never the worst case, right? And so the only thing that I can think of to find peace and learning throughout this is seeing that we must make changes. We must make changes for peace. This is about bringing in the balance. This is about connecting with every single soul through love rather than hate. And we can see that those who have hate in their hearts are going the exact opposite way on this evolutionary path. People have made decisions, and that's where we are at. We're at a karmic choice point, and it is not about sides against one another, but it's about, do you hold love in your heart and do you try to bring healing, or do you hold hate in your heart and do you try to control and try to hurt? And that's where we are right now. This is all being brought up to the surface so that we may witness all that's here and all that has been in the shadows for so long. There are new cycles beginning, and it is a time for healing. Time to balance spirituality and practicality and know that luck is on your side. Don't let your pride get in the way, as nothing yet is set in stone. A win-win outcome is forecast. Expect powerful change. So as we are here, Scorpio season, this full moon, what do you need to release so that you can show the world the real you, so that we can step out in our authenticity, and so that we can feel true love and experience true authentic love with another? Because I think what we truly all desire is to be our most authentic self and to be seen and accepted as that. But you cannot be accepted and seen and fully loved from another until you show that to yourself, because everything that we give to ourselves is what is mirrored back, is what we mirror back, and what we are able to give others. This is a time to reevaluate how we love, how we desire, how we show ourselves love and care. This has been a very Venusian eclipse season with the new moon in Libra, ruled by a Libra-ruled sign, a Venus-ruled sign, and then this full moon in Taurus, another Venus-ruled sign. This is the true balancing of our divine feminine. We must heal our divine feminine. We must shift from the distorted masculine and feminine energies to the divine masculine and feminine energies. And this is our chance, by making choices to show up authentically as ourselves. Thank you so much for being here. Sending you so much love during this time. If you want a personal astrology reading, I'm doing an eclipse season special with readings starting at $44 for an astrology reading on your birth chart, and you can go over where your north and south node are, where this might be affecting you in your life, and really just get to see a little bit more into how the astrology affects us personally. If you're interested, go to the link in the bio. Thank you so much.